New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. This is your London game. Spurs Stadium?
Yep.
Spurs?
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham?
Yeah.
How'd I do?
Bad.
What?
I don't know what it is.
Tottenham.
Yeah. Americans saying that is
That's how you
not
do
good.
it. The Vikings favored by 2.5 here. 4-0 Vikings against the 2-2 Jets. Aaron Rodgers coming off that Sunday. I mean, listen, he's old. He's an old man.
Yeah.
The official diagnosis is a swollen knee, and then he could jump on a plane across the pond. How's that?
Transatlantic.
Do you think the swelling ever comes down? Is it going to come? It's going to take all week for that swelling to come down after the plane ride.
He's in like first class. It's not the same as us getting.
You think the air pressure's better in first class than
no,
coach?
Take your legs up and you can move around and stuff. You're not like trapped in a chair in the back where you get the deep vein thrombosis or whatever it is.
Maybe he sits on the toilet and he does a darkness retreat. He sits in the back. He does a darkness retreat on the flight over there.
I think that's unlikely.
Probably is.
Yeah.
2.5 Vikings favorite here.
Yeah, despite being in London, not at home. I think both sides of the ball are actually really interesting in this game. I'm going to focus first on Darnold and Kevin O'Connell versus that Jets defense, though. Okay, the Jets defense is not as nasty as it has been the last couple of years, but it's still good. Like, it's still got teeth. It can still cause major problems for you. It still has guys like Sauce Gardner back there as, Sauce Gardner versus Justin Jefferson.
Sauce probably won't track him, but when they are one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Vikings are really good at moving Jefferson around and getting him those matchups. Like
JT O'Sullivan was talking about that yesterday, how good they are, and he highlights that a lot in his videos.
Yeah, when you consider that he is fairly clearly at this point the number one wide receiver in the NFL and, like the best player they have. Up until last week, they're really the only place they could go with the football. For him to still get as many targets and as open looks as he does get is insane. Like, it shows how good they are at getting him moving and still productive. But, contrary to the amplified shouting that we played yesterday, Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, these guys are not fools. They still know how to coach defense. That's still a really big test for Darnold and this good offense.
As the chat reminds, a Darnold revenge game against the Jets. A lot of good storylines here.
They've been obviously asking him about it so far this week. They're like, so was it all the Jets' fault? And he's been taking responsibility for not being good at the Jets. Like, he's been, no, I should have been better.
I don't want to go on a little,
I don't believe you.
So Kevin O'Connell made that statement about organizations fail quarterbacks more than the other way around, right?
I think he said first rather than more than.
First?
I don't know if that's a critical semantic point, but the plain text reading of what he was saying was that
I'm less worried about what he said and more so everyone else's responses, because everybody's like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. It's the organizations, right? But and then it's like, well, look at recent history. Look what Geno Smith came out of the Jets and Darnold came out of the Jets, and look at Baker Mayfield now with Tampa Bay, and there's some truth in all of that. But like nobody was like, well, Josh Allen only succeeded because he went to the Bills.
Right.
The Bills weren't exactly the bastion of quarterback development when Josh Allen turned things around there.
No, but
you could say Mahomes went to a playoff caliber Chiefs that had Alex Smith and then took them to the next level. That's fair. It's not this cut and dry thing. Lamar went to a great situation in Baltimore. Like, there's truth in some of that.
But it's not how good is the team when the guy arrives. It's what does the organization do around the player once he's there. Like, so Carolina didn't do anything for Bryce Young until it was too late, arguably, right? Like, the cost of getting Bryce Young actively dismantled the team around Bryce Young. Whereas Buffalo, there wasn't a good team when Josh Allen arrived there, but they then went out and got Stephon Diggs, right? Like, they went and made significant improvements around Josh Allen to the point where it's like, I don't know who's responsible for Josh Allen becoming Josh Allen. Is it him? Is it Jordan Palmer? Not great.
Hopefully we'll be back. Hope we come back at some point here. Anyway, I think maybe that's worth a deeper dive and discussion. I just think like Bryce Young and the Panthers look completely different with Andy Dalton there.
Yeah.
The pass blocking is actually good. The playmakers actually look good. It's not as simple, they failed Bryce Young. In like a year, they failed him? Like they did actually improve. They did actually bring in a coach that could coach, Dave Canales, that's proven that he can coach. So I don't know. Like, it's not as simple as, well, it's the organization. Those lowly Panthers are trash. That's just where people go with it. Anyway, I don't know if I'm ready to completely move on. We from Sam Darnold and like this whole split thing or whatever. Like, I think he looks legit. I don't know if he's a legit MVP candidate or any of that by the end of the season. I don't even think that matters. I just think Darnold is running this offense extremely well. They're calling good plays. I love the way they're making do in the red zone, the way Darnold's red zone accuracy and decision-making has been. You still have a TJ Hawkinson coming back. They use Justin Jefferson really well to open things up. This Vikings offense is looking really good. My concern, so I'm with you on the Jets defense. Like, I'm going to go less than on Darnold's passing yards on my prize picks lineup because I think the Vikings are going to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to run against this Jets defense. I think the pass defense is still tough, but I think Minnesota has multiple ways to win offensively, and that's with Aaron Jones in that run game.
Yep. I do wonder if we're going to get, I mean, JT talked about this yesterday, if we're going to get a little bit of regression in Darnold's luck. You know, he's gotten a little, I'm not saying he's a product of luck, but he's definitely been on the luckier. He's been luckier than he's been unlucky so far this season, put it that way. So if that swings back a little bit.
And I know Vikings fans wanted to say the Xavier McKinney interception. Our friend Dean Blandino, you know, he said like, that should not have been an interception by McKinney, but that's not the point. The point is it's a bad throw that should have been picked. From a quarterback's perspective, it's still bad. Yeah, so there was a red zone interception, turnover-worthy play. There's the strip sack, and there's the dropped interception on the first drive last week where Darnold got away with a couple.
Yeah, I mean, he has 5 turnover-worthy plays, 3 interceptions this season. He has been, again, he's been a little bit luckier than he's been unlucky. If that swings back in the other direction, and it only has to do it for one game, you know, against a really good defense, that can be the difference.
What about Rodgers against Brian Flores here? Because I can't get the picture out of my head of the Jets on 4th and 10, and there's just an unblocked blitzer, and Rodgers hits the top of his drop, and the corner blitz just smokes him, and he's done. And it's not like they couldn't handle the blitz the entire time, but that is a microcosm of the league right now, where offenses are not handling twists and stunts and blitzes, and the Brian Floreses of the world, they are doing a great job of taking advantage of that. I can't help but think Minnesota is going to be able to have their way, I think, with the Jets' protection schemes here.
Maybe. Having said that, 4 quarterbacks that he's faced this season have been all young, right? Young or bad, or combination of both, depending on exactly what you want to describe Daniel Jones as. This was the first guy that Flores has gone up against this season who has seen it all, done it all, knows how to attack any defense in the NFL, you know, has theoretical answers to some of these things, or at least, you know, is better equipped maybe to dive into the bag of experience and try and bring something to the fore than young quarterbacks trying to get it done very early in their career. So, look, I think Flores' defense is phenomenal. I think what he's doing is incredible. I think the talent there is really good, but this is a different quarterback than he's faced so far this year.
Here's the one last factor that I'm putting in here because I keep going back and forth on this game. Aaron Rodgers, when his back is against the wall, even in his MVP caliber seasons, in 2021, remember they lost like 38-3 against the Saints in Week 1. Jameis throws 5 touchdowns. Rodgers looks terrible. The whole team looks terrible. They lost to Tom Brady's Bucks in 2020, the previous year, like 38-10, something like that. Rodgers has a pick 6, 2 interceptions. He completely rights the ship the next week. He has a history, and it's not like he's coming off of his worst game or anything, but they just scored 9 points at home, and it was so bad that everybody had to make up stats about him. By the way, Community Notes got involved with that CBS Sports tweet. Community Notes got in and corrected it.
Was that you asking? There's a button you can click to be like, I request a
I can't remember.
note.
I actually may have. I can't remember if I did, but I do know that I got an alert that Community Notes came in and corrected CBS Sports and their made up stat on Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
But I'll just say when it seems like the shouty shows would write off Aaron Rodgers, he tends to bounce back. So that I might completely lean into that as 2.5-point underdogs here for the Jets. That's the thing. I'm expecting Rodgers and the Jets to bounce back here.
He always seemed to have a very strange tendency in his career to get absolutely wrecked in a random game sometime during the season.
Where it just looked awful.
Yeah, in a way that didn't happen really with the other great quarterbacks of that time. Like Brady didn't have a game where Brady just played like ass. The Patriots got wrecked by 35 points, and it's like, oh, that just happens every now and again. No, it never happens to them.
One time, 2014.
Right, but like one time in 87 years of career. You know what I mean? Like it didn't tend to happen to some of these other guys, but it happened relatively regularly to Rodgers. And you're right, almost invariably, he followed that game up with like an outstanding performance the following game. I don't know if last week fell into that category, though, where it was just like an ugly game where they could have, should have won, lost by a missed kick right at the death. Does that have the same effect as where Rodgers melts down, has a terrible performance, the Packers get destroyed, and then, we got to rebuild everything by next week?
I looked at it specifically through the lens of Rodgers played terribly a couple years ago when his PFF grade was like under 50. The next week he would average 3.5 touchdowns or something, right?
So
it's not that. I know it's not that. But it has that type of feeling, right? Because if they're 2-2 and Francesa's calling them out, and the coach is a fool, and all these different things, right? There's a lot going against him right now. So back against the wall. I guess I'm going to take the Jets as underdogs here in London on a Sunday morning. Though I don't know. I think Rodgers' knee's going to be so swollen from the plane ride. Can't get over that. Can't get over it. I love concocting little stories in my head here.
Just as a fellow old man, my knee would not be in good shape.
I just know how difficult it is to fly in a plane.
Yeah. When was the last time you went to London?
0 times.
Okay, yeah.
0 times.
I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Oh, sounds pretty that confident, huh?
Yeah, I think.
Harry's going with the Vikings if that improves your confidence at all.
Well, like home team.
He's got a good home team. He's got a good track record other than this year. I guess I'll take the Jets. I'm not confident.
Did you see when they asked Brian Flores, was he looking forward to go to London? What does he want to see? That kind of thing, And he gave an answer that made it pretty clear that he had no intention of seeing anything outside of the football. He was like, Big Ben and such.
Oh, it's better that he didn't give the Brandon Merriweather.
No, he didn't give the Big Bang clock, but it was sort of like, I'm supposed to say something here. Let's say the Big Ben thing. That'll get me out of this question, and then move back on to Blitz.
It'd be better if you just said it's a business trip, guys.
Yeah, but that's basically what he was doing, except understanding that you should say, I'm going to go check out the Big Bang clock and fish and chips. You gave that kind of answer.
Fish and chips.
Right, but clearly he has no intention of leaving the safe confines of whatever hotel they're staying at in the middle of miles outside of London.
It's like I'm dialing up better blitzes.
That's what I'm saying. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.